Sumter District Schools are celebrating on an improved graduation rate for the 2021-2022 school year. Sumter's graduation rate of 93.1% is higher than the state average of 87.3%. Sumter's graduation rate was ranked 8th in the state for the year, and Sumter School Superintendent Rick Shirley. Additionally, all subcategories of student ranked above the state average. For example, Sumter students with disabilities ranked 8th in Florida and graduated 92.3% compared to the state's 89.5%. Congratulations, students and the school, for doing such a great job. A man will lose his driver's license after a traffic stop at Gators Dockside at Brownwood. Kevin James Elliott, 31, of Ocala, pleaded no contest to a charge of driving under the influence this past week in Sumter County Court. He will lose his driver's license for 6 months, has been placed on probation for 1 year, and been ordered to perform 50 hours of community service, blah, 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 blah. A villager accused of kicking a police officer at Brownwood has retained the attorney who won the acquittal of George Zimmerman. Y'all remember that case? Mark O'Mara, who practices law in Orlando, gained national attention while serving as a defense attorney for Zimmerman, who was found not guilty of second-degree murder in the shooting death of a 17-year-old Trayvon Martin in 2012 in Sanford. O'Mara, who is frequently seen in media interviews offering insight into legal cases, has been hired by 47-year-old Pamela Jeanette Linus, who was arrested October 22 on felony charges of battery on a law enforcement officer and resisting arrest. The resident of the Crestwood Villas in the village of Buttonwood has pleaded not guilty in the case. Wildwood police were called to investigate the fight, which occurred at about 7:30 p.m. that night at Prima Italian Steakhouse at Brownwood Paddock Square. The first officer on the scene spotted a red Toyota RAV4, which was attempting to leave the parking lot, according to the arrest report of the Wildwood Police Department. During a traffic stop, Linus was identified as a passenger in the vehicle. Linus and the driver were reluctant to admit where they had been. Linus became argumentative. Officers made multiple requests for Linus to exit the vehicle, but she refused. An officer reached in to unbuckle the seatbelt, but she tensed up and would not cooperate. She was escorted to the ground and handcuffed. Police officers continued to try to question her about the incident at the restaurant, but she was verbally argumentative. She was seated on a curb but fell over. When officers tried to put her back into the seated position, she kicked an officer with her right foot. During her altercation with the police, the Biloxi, Mississippi native was yelling obscenities and other abusive language. Lynn had been arrested in 2020 after an incident at City Fire at Sumter Landing. She said the men had been spreading rumors about her. Oh, same lady. I remember that report. Lynn spotted the man at an outside table at City Fire and invited him to fight. When the deputies attempted to speak with Lynn, she showed irrational behavior. She was arrested on a charge of battery. However, the charges was dismissed after Linus completed an anger management course. The Richmond North Gatehouse is officially open and staffed with a gate attendant. The gate is located south of State Road 44, a short distance south of the Brownwood Bridge. The gate arms are currently in construction mode and will transition to live mode within the next few weeks. Those traveling in the area are asked to pay attention to the flow of emerging traffic and use caution when approaching the gate, because people that live there now are used to the construction mode, and you have a tendency to get used to that. I've seen it happen many times. When they go into full operational mode, you're just not even going to pay attention, and you're going to crash into the gate arms and break them off, and it's going to cost you $250. A golf cart driver took off after forcing a villager to flip her low rider trike on the multimodal path. Anne Marie Malott, 72, who lives in the village of Dunedin. Anne Marie was ahead of her 81-year-old husband, and they approached the hairpin turn where Morris Boulevard meets Deskin Lane near the village of Osceola Hills. Two carts were behind them. One cart passed Bob and then Anne Marie just as three carts moving southbound entered the blind turn. The second northbound cart turned directly in front of her and slammed on his brakes to avoid hitting the carts. Anne was forced to the side and slammed on her trike's brakes to avoid colliding with the cart. Her 57-pound trike flipped over on top of her, pitting her underneath. Several villagers stopped to help her. The man who caused the accident made a show of helping pick up some of the items which had ended up on the path. He said he would pay for any damages to the trike, but never even asked about her bloody arm or leg. She heard him say his name was either Clint or Cliff. When she asked for more information, he did not provide any until the crowd, which had seen the accident, had dispersed. first. When asked to move off the path so they could exchange information, the man got into his cart and fled. Ann has noted that there has been a rash of hit-run accidents in the villages and urges cart drivers to exercise caution on the cart paths and while driving their cars. Is riding these things on the cart paths, bicycles and these things, is it legal? Yes. Is it recommended, especially in the winter? I'm going to tell you, no. I don't recommend it. People drive crazy. I don't care if it's a golf cart. I don't care if it's a car. These things happen, it seems like, on a regular basis, especially in the winter months when it's very, very crowded. There's a lot of people riding on our golf cart trails. I call them golf cart trails because that's what they are. And they don't even live here. There's nobody that polices our golf cart trails, so people come to the local grocery store, pull out their golf carts or these bikes or whatever they got, and they just start riding. So you do what you want. It's free country. I'm just telling you, be very careful. Very, very careful, or you're going to be the next person in an accident on the golf cart trail. An Edgewater bungalow man was arrested after driving erratically on a rainy trail in the villages. Cody Paul Krotzer, 31, who lives at 1215 Flamingo Place, was driving a red 2015 Mazda 3 at about 1 a.m. Thursday and was slowing down and speeding up according to the arrest report. His tires crossed the solid double lines, and then they nearly hit the curb. The deputy following his vehicle feared the driver was impaired or having a medical episode. During a traffic stop, a deputy detected the odor of marijuana. A burnt marijuana cigar was in plain view in the vehicle. An amphetamine pill was also found in the car. Crotcher admitted to the deputy he had been arrested 1 week earlier and was free on bond. The deputy confirmed he had been arrested on January 12th on drug charges and was free on a $3,000 bond. See, Judge, the bond means nothing. We got to start getting tough on some of these things around here. This is a retirement community, and it's your job to protect us and to see to it that we feel safe and are safe in our community. And when these guys get arrested for being all kinds of stupid, $500 bond and let them go. You got to stop that. A villager has been ordered to appear at an arraignment after a fight over a seat at the bar at the popular restaurant in Florida's friendliest hometown. Julianne Marsh, 56, of the village of Pine Ridge, has been ordered to appear at an arraignment set for 9 a.m. February 20th in Sumter County Court. She was arrested January 13 at Harvest Restaurant at Brownwood Paddock Square after she took a seat at the outside bar. The seat had been claimed by another couple, according to the arrest report. The couple apparently confronted Marsh when they returned from the restroom. The man informed Marsh she was in his chair, prompting a verbal altercation. Marsh announced she was not getting up from the chair. The Chicago native began fighting with the man's female date over the chair. The man signed an intent to prosecute form, while his female companion was not cooperative with police. Marsh was arrested on a charge of battery. She was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center and released after her husband posted a $500 bond. Of all the stupid things, I can see two things here that would have caused no problem. One is, why don't you let your wife go to the restroom first and you sat there protecting the seat? She put her purse in the seat or whatever, you just sit there. And then when she gets back, you leave your jacket or something in the seat, and then you go to the restroom. When you take off and go like that, I could see where somebody would go by and go, oh, these are empty, I'll just sit here. Sometimes I don't think people's got common sense anymore. Officials have expressed concern after the recent closure of the new walking trail at Lake Meona. Assistant Director Manager Brittany Wilson said the Black Lake walking path was closed for a few days this past week for warranty repairs. She said some settling was expected with the flexi-pave path and that was accelerated by recent bouts of wet and cold weather, and we have had that. It was expected due to hard freeze and rainfall. It has been rectified. The work has been completed. She added that no new money has been spent on the path, which cost about $840,000, paid for with amenity money from residents south of County Road 466. In other words, I paid for a walking path that I'm never going to see. CD8 Supervisor Duane Johnson said every time he drives past a walking path, residents are walking their dogs on it. No dogs are allowed on that particular path. Wilson said she would check with the Recreation Department about monitoring residents taking their dogs on the path, which also excludes golf carts and bicycles. I mean, it's Rohan. Rohan's the head of the Parks and Recreation Department. He'll do nothing. Here's what's going to happen. Let's take some more amenity money and buy some signs, have some signs made. And we'll put some signs along the path saying no bicycles and no dogs. That's how they're going to monitor that trail. Useless. Some of these people working around here are useless.
Spring air? You won't spoil this adventure. Allegra gives us 3-in-1 allergy relief. It's fast, non-drowsy, and lasts 24 hours. So Mother Nature, there's no curfew tonight. Allegra is the #1 allergist recommended brand for non-drowsy relief. Live your greatness.
Friends are determined to find a hit-and-run driver after a villager was severely injured when her golf cart was struck during a trip to the postal station. Nancy Lou Hooper, 80, was in her brown 2017 Yamaha golf cart at about 4:30 p.m. December 29th when she was leaving the Chatham postal station. She was traveling on Southeast 172nd Legacy Lane when she was hit by a car that left the scene. The Michigan native was taken to Ocala Regional Medical Center, that's because we don't have a trauma center here, where she spent several days in the intensive care unit. Hooper, a full-time resident of the villages since 2007, is still at the hospital where she is recovering from broken legs, broken ribs, and blood clots. Her daughter flew in from Italy to help manage her mother's care. Members of the Aqua Rhythms Synchronized Swim Team, of which Hooper is a member, recently went to the Chatham Postal Station and passed out flyers in hopes of jarring someone's memory or coming up with clues to turn over to law enforcement. Hooper's friends say the driver was a woman with gray hair, that narrows it down, who ran a stop sign. Everybody runs stop signs around here. She was at the wheel of a grayish-green sedan which might have front side damage. If you think you have any information which would be helpful, you are encouraged to call Stacy at 505-506-2211 or Ellen at 616-490-9262. Seems to be a rash of hit and runs in the winter. A search warrant led to the arrest Friday morning of a suspect in the distribution of child pornography. The search warrant was executed by Sumter County Sheriff's Office at the home of 64-year-old Mark Porter at the Rails Inn Mobile Home and RV Park on State Road 44 in Wildwood. That's just down the road from Brownwood Square. This is why I always say, keep your guard up. You never know who's in the square or sitting next to you. The search warrant follows several weeks of investigation into Porter's activities at his home at Lot 86. He was arrested on 8 counts of distribution of child pornography, possession of marijuana, and possession of drug paraphernalia. He was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center on an $18,000 bond. A villager is facing a $24,000 fine after her refusal to fix a torn lanai screen. The home at 1889 Blythewood Loop in the village of Sunset Point was the subject of a public hearing Friday morning before the Community District Board 5 of Supervisors at Seabreeze Rec Center. Barbara Packard and her late husband bought the home in 2005 for $238,500 and were its original owners. Charles Packard died in 2007 at age 58. She is living in the home with her son, Jeff, who testified in 2021 during a public hearing about the decompliance violation. Jeff Packard, who was arrested in 2016 when he was found driving with 2 blown-out tires near Lake Sumter Landing, pledged that he would work on the problem. Well, we could take his word for it. The property is still in violation. They refused to repair the screens, said Director of Resident Services Matt Armstrong. Fines continue to add up $50 per day. The residents have dug in their heels and said, "I'm not doing." He said every effort will be made to collect the fines. We'll see. They have beefed up the capabilities of collecting fines. Not sure what they are, but we'll see if they get any. A repeated unlicensed driver from Mexico was arrested at a local Circle K. Hector Jimenez Bautista, 20, of Fruitland Park, was driving a blue Nissan at 8:15 p.m. Monday when he was spotted at a Circle K on Miller Street, according to the arrest report. The officer who spotted Bautista previously caught the native of Mexico driving without a license on January 2nd, but let him off with a verbal warning at the time. Why? During Monday's traffic stop at Circle K, the officer confirmed that Bautista has never been issued a driver's license in the United States or Mexico. The computer check also revealed that Bautista was convicted twice in 2022 of driving without a license. He was arrested on a charge of driving without a license and booked at the Lake County Jail. He was released on posting a $500 bond. Did you impound his car? Make sure he had insurance on it? Make him show proof proper when he picks it up? A woman allegedly lured a shooting victim to an ambush with a promise of sexual favors. Arrest reports are shedding new light on a shooting this past weekend which sent a man who had been shot in the back to Ocala Regional Medical Center for emergency life-saving surgery. The man had been lured to 4141 County Road 510 in Adamsville by 20-year-old Gracie Lemke, who contacted him through Facebook Messenger, according to the arrest report from Sumter County Sheriff's Office. She had promised sexual favors. When the man arrived at the location, which is near the village of Marsh Bend, he got out of his car. He was grabbed by 24-year-old Joshua Timmons, who told him not to move. While Timmons, who stands 6 feet 1 inches tall, restrained the man, Lemke, a 20-year-old Lauren Locker, began searching the man's car. He broke free from Tim's grasp as he was running. The convicted felon shot him in the back. The bullet exited through the man's abdomen. Lemke, Locker, and Timmons climbed into Lemke's 2008 Chevrolet Trailblazer and fled the scene. They had taken the man's cell phone but tossed it out the window of the Trailblazer as they were driving away. They stopped for gasoline before heading to 305 Terry Street in Wildwood. When law enforcement arrived at the home, they spotted Timmons as he was attempting to burn clothes he had been wearing during the alleged altercation. Jail time. Once you find him guilty, jail time, period. You look, if we can afford to give billions away to a country to fight a war, maybe we can afford to build a few more prisons to house all these people. The Community Development District 9 Board of Supervisors has agreed to forgive a $5,350 fine in a deed compliance case. The board Thursday agreed to waive the fines at the home of 828 Journey Lane in the village of Sanibel. The home had been subject of a public hearing in May 2021. At the time, it was owned by Thomas and Barbara Moran. She died October 1, 2021 at age 80. At the time of the hearing, community standards reported that the home was not in compliance due to overgrown shrubs. The community standards also indicated that the couple had been difficult to contact, even though certified mail had been sent to their home in Massachusetts. The Morans had bought the home in 2013 for $247,300, sold it in October 2021 for $437,000. The home is currently in compliance. Officials are finally offering clues as to the reason mysterious speed humps suddenly disappeared during the holiday. The speed humps abruptly appeared a few days before Christmas at the tunnel under Buena Vista Boulevard near Lake Meona Recreation Center. Residents were furious at the unexplained installation. Speed humps mysteriously disappeared about 48 hours later. While officials have yet to fully explain what happened, questions from Community Development District supervisors on Thursday prompted a few clues. Assistant District Manager Bruce Brown said that the Risk Management Department, concerned about complaints about speed and safety at the tunnel, got the ball rolling with the speed humps. I had them removed because they had not been approved by Project Wide, who was also oversees the district property management. He said the district offices had received numerous complaints about speed humps. Deputy District Manager Carrie Duckett said the individuals who had the speed humps installed had good intentions. They didn't have the authority to do so. Sumter County Commissioners Monday revisited a controversial decision a month ago to award an information technology contract to a Villages-related firm. The Villages Technology Services Group, TSG, was awarded the 3-year contract with a possible 3-year extension, even though the firm did not respond to a request for qualifications last spring. Mission Critical Partners, MSP, the only firm that responded, was bypassed. Commissioner voted in June not to offer the contract to MCP, and in August authorized county staff to open negotiations to TSG, which has approved IT services to Sumter County since 2010. TSG will be paid $2.1 million during the first year of the contract, beginning January 1, with increases every year tied to the Consumer Price Index. Hourly rates range from $99 for technical training to $160 for security, network engineering, and project management. A villager's out-of-compliance landscaping prompted a public hearing Thursday morning before the Community Development District 7 Board of Supervisors. Paul and Denise Helbig bought their home at 2577 Dunbar Avenue in the village of Hemingway in 2021 for $319,000. Paul Helbig said the landscaping was ugly and he wanted to make a positive change. He paid for expensive landscaping improvements without first securing the approval of Architectural Review Committee. And I'm telling all you people that's never bought here, don't turn your nose up to the Architectural Review Committee. I'll finish reading the rest of this. But I'm telling you, this is one of the toughest committees when it comes to rules and regulations. Don't do it. An anonymous complaint was lodged August 17th with community standards. It came as a surprise to the homeowner. The project was very expensive and used premium materials. None of that has to do with community standards and your deed restrictions. Don't care how much you spend. Don't care what it cost. Don't care that you hired the number one company in the world. It doesn't make any difference. You snubbed your nose at Architectural Reviews Committee, and they don't take lightly to that. Helbig followed up with an ARC application. Too late, but the specifics of the application don't match what is at his home. Helbig said his wife is dealing with health issues. I have developed a lot of anxiety since I came here, Helbig said. It don't matter. He also claimed the property was not in compliance when he bought the house. Probably. My heart goes out to you, but the rules is the rule. We really can't make exceptions because then we open Pandora's box and there are 10,000 residents in District 7. The board agreed to give Helbig 90 days to bring the property into compliance. Helbig was not happy with the board's decision. I could open Pandora's box by going through my neighborhood and reporting all of the violations. You could. He applauded Community Development District 5 supervisors who stopped accepting anonymous complaints. Some districts have the fortitude not to accept anonymous complaints, he said. He just wanted to argue. He just wanted to throw insults. Whether you like anonymous complaints or don't like anonymous complaints, I'm on record of saying, I am for them because I don't want to argue with neighbors about doing stupid stuff. A drunk driving suspect from Mexico was arrested after driving dangerously on County Road 466A. An officer was on patrol near the entrance of the village of Pine Ridge on Drake Drive at about 9 p.m. Saturday when he heard a report of a suspected drunk driver in the area. A 911 caller had reported seeing a DUI suspect vomiting in a trash can before re-entering a vehicle and driving on County Road 466A. The officer spotted a black Dodge Dakota, which was drifting into another lane of traffic, forcing another motorist to yield to avoid a collision. The traffic stop was initiated near the intersection of County Road 466A and Micro Racetrack Road. The driver was identified as 33-year-old Jacobo Vasquez Hernandez of Leesburg. He provided the officer with a Mexican passport and spoke very little English. His speech was very slurred, and an open Modelo beer bottle was spotted in his vehicle's cup holder. A Leesburg police officer responded to the scene to assist in translation. Hernandez was on the phone with his wife, and he was asked multiple times to end the call. He was unable to participate in field sobriety exercises, despite being instructed how to do it several times. He provided breath samples that registered .248 and .247 blood alcohol content. He was arrested on a charge of driving under the influence and driving without a license. He was booked at Lake County Jail and were released after posting a $1,500 bond. That's what the phone call was about, telling his wife to get some money, baby. You're going to have to come and bail me out because these American rednecks is fixing to put me in jail. And An Uber driver has been arrested after allegedly fleeing the scene of a crash at an assisted living facility in the Villages. Chad Douglas Fitzgerald, 47 of Claremont, was found slumped over in a vehicle which had been parked for 2 hours while it was parked in the 900 block of Main Street at Spanish Springs Town Square, according to the arrest report. Fitzgerald identified himself as an Uber driver and said he had pulled over to get some rest before traveling back to this residence. The vehicle had a broken right headlight and a white paint transfer. In other words, a long scrape on his car. The officer discovered that the parked car at the nearby Watercrest Assisted Living and Memory Care facility had right rear bumper damage. The paint on the damaged vehicle was consistent with the paint transfer found on Fitzgerald's car. The computer check revealed that Fitzgerald's license had been suspended for failure to pay a traffic fine and has had 2 previous convictions for driving while license suspended. Prescription medicine lorazepam was found in Fitzgerald's vehicle, but it had been prescribed to someone else. Fitzgerald was arrested on charges of leaving the scene of a crash, possession of a controlled substance, and driving while license suspended. He was booked at the Lake County Jail on a $3,000 bond, and hopefully you impounded his car until he shows proof proper. A villager was arrested after eating meatballs at a deli at a Publix grocery store. The poor girl was hungry. Sherry Lynn Bester, 59, who lives on the historic site of the Villages, went to the Publix at La Plaza Grande at about 4:30 p.m. Tuesday and headed for the deli with her boyfriend, where she selected a package of meatballs. She opened the package and began eating the meatballs in the deli, according to the arrest report. Bester and her boyfriend had no money and no form of payment for the meatballs. Store manager told police that Publix wanted to press charges in the case. The meatballs were valued at $5.51. Bester was arrested on a charge of retail theft. The Platteville, Wisconsin native was booked at the Lake County Jail on $500. I'll just let you guess as to why they had no money. I'll let you guess as to why she stole meatballs. We've heard it 100 times, haven't we? A longtime greeter at UF Health, the Villages Hospital, celebrated her 90th birthday and friends with a little poetry. Jill Proctor of the Village of Liberty Park was feted by 16 of her neighbors at a luncheon at the Nancy Lopez Legacy Restaurant. A special honor occurred when, as a surprise, local author Lawrence Phillips of the Village of Polo Ridge read a poem that he had written especially for her entitled Just Jill. She had moved into Florence Path in 2005 in Liberty Park and was always smiling and a great neighbor and friend. She moved to Sarasota briefly and returned to live around the corner on Darlington Drive 3 years ago. She had been a volunteer at the Villages Hospital, greeting visitors at the front desk for many years. She continues to play golf and is on the Darlington Shuffleboard team. Originally from Michigan, her lucky number is 4. She has 4 daughters, 4 son-in-law, 4 grandchildren, and 4 great-grandchildren. Well, congratulations, Jill, and thank you for your service, and you'll have many years to come. Pull the plug on Rocky and Rollers along with Uncle Bob's Rock Shop, and you never know what you might hear. That was true Tuesday before a packed house in the Savannah Center as 2 of the most popular groups in the Villages turned down the amps and turned up the heat in a rousing performance that featured everything from Dean Martin to Judas Priest. There was help from guest singers Al Morris and Kathleen Kane. But the musical vibe on this night was a shotgun marriage between oldies and classic rock, with a little metal, soul, and pop tossed in for good measure. We've been doing this for a long time, and we're going to have fun tonight. I hope you appreciate the musicianship and experience on this stage. We're going to do what we want in a way you have never heard before. And if it's bad, that's okay, because tonight being bad is being good. It didn't take long to unplug the jams. You know that is true, even here on my little shows that I do. Sometimes I think they're terrible. I do videos and I look at them and I go, God, that's awful. In some way, the editing, the video, the audio, something's wrong because I'm just trying to do a really good job, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. But I post it anyway because I find sometimes that what I think is bad, you think is good. So who knows? There were more ego sounds as Rollers sing Stevie Santo offered a soulful version of Desperado. Up next came a Prize. Rollers piano man and keyboard player Al Layton took a turn behind the mic. It's not all rocky tonight. Everybody gets along. Everybody gets a song, said Cedar, the leader of the Rollers pack. Layton then ripped into a joint jumping version of Paul Simon's Late in the Evening. Kathleen Kane took the stage wearing a green velvet dress and knee-high black boots, accent by her flowing blonde hair. She gave the night a cool jazz flavor while sashaying around the stage singing an old Dean Martin number, Sway. Then it was Judas Priest time. You've got another thing coming. Uncle Bob's Boys, led by David Sanders with the help of Max Sanders, gave a heavy metal track an unplugged twist. I told you were going to hear something different tonight. Rocky chimed in after the song, and you heard Judas Priest. Uncle Bob's Rock Shop, Steve Reel, showed his vocal skill with the thumping version of Peter Gabriel's Salisbury Hill. David Saunders then paid homage to Dave Clark 5 with a tender version of Because. Al Morse, who had been with Rocky and Rollers on a regular basis until he continued battling with cancer, just about stole the show. Morse played one of his favorite parts with Rocky and Rollers as a taxi driver with a song, Tijuana Taxi, the horn section, featuring Stevie Faulkner, Rick Abbott, and Doug Spoonamore, run through the Herb Albert instrumental. Morse, dressed in shades and a colorful serape, draped over his shoulders with an oversized hat came in disguise. But once he stepped into the microphone, he received a loud and long ovation as he flashed his trademark smile. I grew up in Central Florida, and my idol was Otis Redding. A new fire chief has been named to lead the village's public safety department. Brian Twist will succeed retiring Chief Edmund Kane, who will be stepping down January 23rd. Twist has been with the department for 14 years. He was promoted last year to the rank of Deputy Chief of Operations. He has been the first responder since 1981.